Okay, what's up, guys? We are back here with Thug Bard, which I forgot to mention this last time, dude, but I think your name is absolutely hilarious. Is there a history to the name?
So I started using it when I got a PS4, so it's been a good while
Nice.
ago. So I started getting into hip hop and rap, and I was like, that's pretty much what most rappers are, is
Yeah.
they're like bards from old, but they're in a more urban environment. So
Ooh.
I just thought the two words sound good together, and I stuck with it ever since.
I like the contrast behind like the imagery in my head with the two words contrasting with each other. It's a very unique name. Anyway, we are going to go into the tournament replay analysis. The first time we tried to record this, it got all messed up, so we're recording it for a second time. As a reminder, Thug Bard got first place in a 5 round Friday GOAT format Discord tournament. 12 players, double elimination, playing this reasoning gate list, which we have up here on the screen. I thought it'd be super cool as he is new to the reasoning gate deck, to kind of go through some of the replays and kind of talk back and forth about some of the decision points from his newer perspective, and see if we can maybe see if there were any more optimal decisions along the way. So let's just go right into the replays. Round one. I already forgot what this is against, but is this the Watergate one?
No, that one's later on. This one I think is just might be like Earth Aggro.
Oh, right, right,
I
right,
guess
right.
we'll find out. Yeah.
Right. So, right off the bat, I think I mentioned that I really like how you set this Fusilier since you have the Dimension Fusion. So, if they do end up noblemanning this, you can just get this back at 2800. Or if they attack it, you get the Dark in the Grave. End phase Scapegoat because you got the Monster Gate, right? And
Yep.
he gets lucky with this Dust Shoot. So, like, I don't even think Dust Shoot is that good of a card against this deck, but he did hit the one monster in your hand because like a lot of times you won't even have a monster to hit, right?
Yeah, I'm
Um,
seeing a lot of people leave Dust Shoot in even after
yeah,
game one. And I agree with you though. Like a lot of times they're hitting a sorcerer, or even if they hit something and put it back, there's a chance I just reasoning or gate right into it.
yeah, that's true.
So
That's true.
it feels a little weird.
I mean, I think it's like 50-50 because I've had people just whiff, like just completely whiff with this card, but
Hmm.
then like it's tough. So like I guess they have to do it early because you might hit a Jinzo and then it'll lock it out, right? But ideally, they'd wait until you're about to Trunade or Heavy Storm because then you obviously have the combo pieces in your hand, so then they could activate it then. But anyway, he just got lucky. He only had one monster and he hit it, right? So it is what it is. Then we hit the Democ, yeah.
Demon right off the top.
Democ right off the top is pretty crazy, and then the Crane for the +1. Yeah, so you're cooking. You're you're in a very commanding position right off the bat. Um, you have this Jar of Greed, so if he heavies to get rid of the snatch, you can, at least get some value out of that. And then he does this really super suboptimal play where he's crashing all the recruiters just to get the Ryukoki just to out your Crane. That's like so bad. Um, the cool thing is that if this battle's a spellcaster, it destroys it, right? So like,
Right. So I think he's thinking it kind of walls Democ, but if he's also putting a recruiter out there, Democ's
yeah,
still pretty good.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's not going to hit Grave.
yeah. Democ is so nasty like that. No better feeling than hitting a Sanguine with Democ. And then of course you draw Pot of Greed. So this is basically just like your game. You're just like you have the nuts this game.
Yeah. So I banish that. He doesn't get anything.
Crash.
Trade.
Yeah, I mean double Dim
Yeah.
Fusion to get the Democ back. It's kind of a wrap. Okay, so like this hand right off the bat is not that great starting hand so far, but then you draw the Graceful. So oh yeah, let's pause
And
here.
then Graceful into Pot's pretty good.
Yeah, let's pause here real quick because I always mentioned that I like the Jar of Greed before the Graceful, but I think you were explaining your thought process here. Can you explain that to just rip
Yeah,
this?
it was just I agree with you, and actually, since I've played with this deck a little bit more, I feel like Jar of Greed first is good, but here I was just thinking I want to see more cards off top of my deck. I'm going to get to see three. I got did I start with two cranes or did I just start with
Yeah, you
one?
started with two
Regardless,
cranes, yeah.
I can pitch a crane, get a light in the graveyard. It's having two of them on in the hand doesn't really help me at all. So I guess the thought process was just I have two cranes, I can get a light in the graveyard, and I want to see more cards to kind of see where this can go.
Yeah, it makes sense. I could see like seeing three back row getting a little bit antsy, and wanting to see more of your deck sooner rather than later. So that makes sense, and like it pays off because like
It pays off.
your three draws were absolutely freaking broken, dude. Like a dark, heavy storm, and pot of greed. It's insane. Okay, so you know he has judgment, right? Like at least one, right, for sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
so,
sure.
so just burn him for a quick 4,000. Exiled Force for the Crane. That's pretty good for you. Yeah, preserve your life points. He's got the judgment and okay. Reasoning. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, yeah, we talked about this too. Hith is a Borg. I mean, it's just a 24 body that like he's got to answer this, right?
And he's got to do something about it here. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're gonna brain con, so even if he has a mirror force, at least you mitigate that a little bit, right? And I see
So
you're
I'm here. I'm trying to see if he takes it, then it blows his back row up. But it's
100%.
forcing him to respond.
100%. I would imagine he wouldn't summon this with multiple back row unless he had a contingency plan, right? But
Right.
imagine you hit a Jinzo with this. That'd be
Yeah.
crazy.
That would have been out of control.
That would have been crazy. It would just be like game on the spot, probably. But you do get to banish it. Oh, I see. Yeah. So you're hard chilling right now. Take the Sangan, deny him the search, at least temporarily. And you're pretty much all set up for if you draw your Chaos Monster. So, but then he hits you with the Duo. Um, you get rid of your Dimension Fusion. I think. Well, can you explain that? You had a choice, obviously, between Gate and Dimension Fusion, right?
The reason I did that, I believe, is because he has three exiled and I have zero. Like, I know what he
Oh yeah,
has
yeah,
is
yeah.
less valuable than what I have, but in this exact moment, not guaranteeing that I'm going to draw the Chaos Monster, Din Fusion is not really doing me a whole lot of favors. However, I do have a ton of life. And as we know, if I do hit a Chaos Monster, I'm getting a lot of big bodies back on the board. So pitching them both probably, I don't know. I like Monster Gate here, just in case I do need to get out of Thousand Eyes Restrict. But I can see keeping a Dimension Fusion here also. I think I was mainly just seeing that he already had three in the Banish Zone, and I had zero, so he'd be getting a bit up on me there, or at least have some bodies to block with if I were to pull off the Chaos Monster and then bring guys back.
Yeah, no, that's totally valid. I think it's like a bird in hand is worth two in the bush or whatever the saying is. Like this is live. Dimension Fusion is not live. It might be live, but maybe you don't want to
But
risk
then
it.
again, I also have all three in the grave now, which feels pretty bad.
That's true. That is true. And then one more thing to consider is your four monsters deep, right? So you got Jinzo, Demok, Serpent, and I think that's it, right? Jinzo, Demok, Serpent. Yeah, Jinzo, Demok, Serpent. So you got a pretty good chance to hit something good off the gate, unless you hit the Serpent. But
Right.
yeah. Ooh, BrainCon Tribute Recruiter is always a heads up play, and you do hit the Jinzo. So um, here's an interesting thing. Like, yeah, I know you're. Oh, I see. Well, never mind. I was gonna say sometimes I just like to get the information and just attack, even though you know you're probably gonna take some damage. But I'm just curious what that face down is. I guess it could also be like a moth, which would be bad for you, so maybe not attack it. Okay, we talked about this as well. Um, so you had one turn where you were able to tribute summon Demok.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
mistake. I should have just gone for it there, especially given that I could loop it again with Dimension Fusion and just keep doing nutty stuff. There's no good reason to hold it there.
right, right. I think like yeah, you could do some pretty nutty stuff. You know, tribute the Thousand Eyes and the Jinzo, and then you have the Call the Haunted if they like torrential you or activate a trap, and then like we said, get the Dimension Fusion back. Um, or actually, yeah, Dimension Fusion back. Dimension Fusion back, banish the Jinzo, banish the Crane, activate the Dimension Fusion. Um, yeah, that would have been
At this
pretty
point, he's got 3 on board, so even if he has
true.
3 in the banish zone, he's not getting full value out of it. So
True. That's another good tip. I
yeah,
do like to try to. It comes up a lot against Chaos, especially because because they're banishing for their monsters. So if you get a position where they're not getting that full value off the dim fuse, and then you just blow them away with the vortex anyway, those are always pretty good. But at this point, I think you do end up dropping the Demok finally. Um,
I definitely want that set because I'm so scared of it.
yeah,
Yeah, now I dropped the Demok.
yeah. Now we see the
Now
Demok.
here's where Pot of Greed probably wasn't my best choice
Oh
because I
right.
think we talked about this last time. Because yeah, the temptation is let's see more cards,
Yeah.
but there's so many more. There's so many better things I could have done there.
Right.
Um, namely, getting the Dimension Fusion because I had the Chaos in my hand, and then just blowing them out. And that would have been. I had plenty of life to pay. Get Dimension Fusion, summon Sorcerer, break,
Right.
bring
Right. Right.
guys that
Right.
are exiled back. I keep saying exile, I mean banished. I get my magic terms
Oh no,
mixed in here.
I got
But
your drift.
bringing those guys back, and then you Lightning Vortex just clearing out anything that he brings back, and then going in for big damage.
Right. Right.
That's a lot better line than getting Pot of Greed.
Right. I knew you were like pretty brand spanking new to this deck when you, or this list anyway, when you played it. But it is a good learning opportunity that like you have to keep track of exactly what's in your deck at all times and what's in your graveyard. And in this moment, like all of the power spells are already in the graveyard. You know, Heavy Storm, Graceful, the 3 Dim Fuse, like we're saying. So it's really tempting to go +1 off this greed, but like you're probably not really drawing into anything super relevant unless you know there's a specific card in your deck that you really want, which I guess is the Vortex in this case. But again, like we said, you could have first, loop the Diamok a couple times, get some value out of that, and then try to draw into the Vortex when you're done looping. So yeah, but I think it's like all is well that ends well type deal here. It's just that like now you don't have a way to ever get Dimension Fusion back from this point. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. That was me. We're using Call of the Haunted out of turn for no reason.
yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Another learning thing though is like I always like to get the Jinzo off the field when I have the call set up, right? Like in that case, Jinzo would have been in the graveyard, and when they activate heavy, you could have chained the call to bring it back for free.
Right.
If you didn't banish it for the Sork anyway, but yeah, I just don't like locking myself out of traps with Jinzo, and I like baiting when I have the call to haunted, cocked and loaded. This gets pretty close, like unnecessarily, like scarily
Yeah,
close.
I had it in the bag there and didn't need to do all that, but I ended up getting it. But it was kind of lucky that I got it for as messy as that was because it could have been over a lot sooner had I just pulled Dimension Fusion.
Right. And this is also a good example of how just setting up Thousand Eyes and kind of stalling out can, put you in an advantageous spot. Because, like, even though he had multiple back row and, like, a full board of monsters, you were able to play through that when you had the combo, right? Or when you had enough resources anyway. So, +1 for Thousand Eyes doing work there. Okay, going to game two. I think this was the water
This
deck.
is the water guy, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had going into this, I thought he was playing. I played him on the dueling book ladder like the previous day, and he was playing Rescue Cat. So I thought that's what I was getting ready to walk into, and then he started playing water stuff.
Got it. Was it
Very
like Rescue Cat Burn or like aggro?
It was aggro, I guess. He was just filling the board with dudes and rushing at me. It was crazy.
Yeah,
He had
like
like an OTK strategy with it.
yeah, like Milas Radiant and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually have a really fun Rescue Cat deck. I need to revisit and tweak it, but it's also another Dimension Fusion deck because spoiler alert, that's my favorite card in Go format, or favorite spell anyway. But yeah, I have one with like Rescue Cat and like Gigantes and like Bazoo, and you use Dimension Fusion to get back the cat. It's pretty cool. But okay, so you open up the God Start, Scapegoat, Jar of Greed, literally the best starting opening outside of like Pot of Greed and Graceful. You bait the Breaker, which is, doesn't get much better than that. You see Pot of Greed again, by the way. You've gotten so lucky with these Pot of Greed
yeah.
rips.
I've gotten so many pots of green. He
Yeah.
gets rid of Thousand Eyes, which feels bad, but I'm able to get a Crane here, which is okay.
How do you got that? Oh, he torrentialed you. Okay, so he is on the ocean, which means he is probably playing like the Levia dragon thing, which is super
Yeah.
sick. Um, what does this card do? When is it? Oh, it attacks
It
twice.
can hit twice, which is pretty good when I'm wide open there.
That is actually fire. You're about to do 34 for free? That's crazy. I guess the only thing I would say right there, and this is just really a nitpick, right? Like, I get how you don't want to put the crane, not crane. Why do I keep calling it crane? The serpent in attack mode because you want to preserve your life points. But just a consideration is like, if that did connect, you're doing 34 plus five would have been 39, which puts him on a two-turn clock. Otherwise, he's on a three-turn clock if it, you know. But he outs it anyway, so it doesn't even matter. And then we've also talked about this play before, where you reincarnate the Zaborg, which is kind of nice, and then you tribute the serpent, so you're gonna get it back next turn, and it's gonna be fodder for the vortex. So that's pretty cool too. And the Zaborg is super relevant right now because you're destroying
Yeah.
the penguin soldier. So hitting flips with the Zaborg is always pretty sick. He outs it with smashing. I think we talked about this play as well. I think you had the option to go for the Jinzo or the Crane. I think it's always right to block the damage because why not? But in this case, you're locking yourself again out of the Call of the Haunted.
Because I could have gotten Crane, gone +1 off of Crane,
Yeah,
then Giant Traded on my turn, get called back, and then I could get whatever at a later turn.
yeah. Um, and like if you hit, what's it called, Demock. If they call Demock off reasoning, then you have the call to bring
Exactly.
back the Demock. So just leaving your options open is I think always the idea. But again, it doesn't
Yeah, he's
matter.
flying 7 for some reason, so I just don't think this guy's played against this deck very much. Because
Yeah,
that's a really interesting call. I don't know why 7.
yeah, dude. It's so weird. Like when I play this in paper tournaments in person, a lot of people call seven as well. Um, I wonder if it's their okay. I have a theory. Maybe it's they're misremembering the level of Demock because it's like Dark Magician, which is level seven. Maybe they think it's level seven, not level eight, which is crazy. But I don't
It's
know.
possible.
I've experienced the same thing where people fixate on seven a lot, especially the players who aren't familiar with the deck. So I can't really think of any other level seven that like you'd be afraid of. So
I think this game is. I lose this because I played terribly. So this is a good one to watch for what not to do, if I'm remembering this correctly. So like
okay.
had it and let him dig out.
Oh,
It really
but
didn't work
okay,
here.
okay. This is
Yeah,
so cool though. Like just like
it is.
this is so freaking cool. Okay, yeah, that's sick. I really want to build in paper the Watergate version of Reasoning Gate. Or maybe it's because his guy is level seven, dude. I
It might be. You might be thinking that I could be getting this guy.
maybe he thinks you're playing Watergate. I don't know. Okay, but you hit for free. I forget how this plays out, but you're in like such a good spot right here. Okay, and then you
My
pop.
healer's guy.
Yeah, so he doesn't get it back, right? Is the
Right.
idea.
Yep.
I see. And like you got light and dark set up for this chaos, so
What
it's
it is I jam. This is where I mess up because I am
oh yeah.
positive. Yeah, I forget that. So you had a point in a previous video where you're like pass priority on BLS when you have the dimension fusion because you can then get your guys back and then start banishing their dudes.
Yeah.
What I did here was I did the classic I'm not used to playing this deck move, and usually when I throw a chaos monster out playing other decks, I'm like, I'm gonna get stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
But I wasn't thinking, well, if I get it out of the way, then I play Dimension Fusion. I'm just gonna be in the same situation I was just in, but I'm gonna have more guys using this guy back. So the fact they got a recruiter back here actually slows me way down. And I think this is where he actually pulls this out because I made that mistake.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have blown him out right here.
Yeah. So sequencing just gotta I guess think a little bit or like just pause for a second. It's similar to the Pot of Greed. Just instantly go for the Pot of Greed in the match before. Totally makes sense. As soon as you summon the Chaos Monster, it's pretty like muscle memory to just instant banish. But then,
Yeah, 'cause then
yeah,
he's able to get himself down to 100, and I'm like,
yeah.
surely I can do this, but I don't because he
Penguins,
bounces my dudes
Penguin Soldier.
and
Oh no.
bounces my guy and blows me out.
Oh, it's too,
So
it's too good though. Like
it is.
the way that he won that game is absolutely. It's both hilarious and it's cool because like he used all of his intended effects. He used the Penguin Soldier. He used the Abyss Soldier. It was actually kind of cool though.
No, yeah, he got to play all his tricks, so I mean,
Yeah,
props to him. And I just had I not sequenced him correctly, it would have been over right there.
dude, like your luck was so good. I think you opened this start like 3 times already
Already, yeah.
in 4 games, or maybe this is game 5. 3 out of 5 is insane. Like, yeah, sometimes you're just cooking. Okay, he hits the True Nade. Okay, okay. Uh, oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, let's go. I love hitting this too, because like it's just a clean 4,000. It's like 2 turn clock, and like they can't activate
Yeah,
traps. I just love 24 plus 16 is so, and then oof, oof. Zaborg's so good.
yeah, that's it. Just blow him out real fast that last game. But yeah, I that second game was definitely a learning experience looking back on it. But to your point, I mean, he got to play all those tricks, and that's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, pretty quick match. Let's go to game or match 3 against
And this
BLS
guy's on
Freedom.
turbo.
Yeah, I mean
Like I
BLS
think I
Freedom.
mentioned previously, like this guy is fairly new and he's really active in the goat format discord, and I get along with this guy pretty well, but I do think he gets pretty bent out of shape at the end of this one. And it's because he in real he's expressed in real life he has a reasoning gate deck that he's trying to learn. He
Hmm.
just isn't having luck with it. So when he got beat by it here, it really frustrated him, and I understand. But I like playing against this guy a lot because like I think I'm a little bit more green than he is at this point, but I
Oh
feel
no,
like
yeah.
we both learned so much from playing one another. It's kind of a cool matchup.
Dude, I have a friend that's the exact same way. Shout out to my friend Connor. He also plays Turbo, and he also has Reasoning Gate built in person, but has not had much luck with it. And I also cook him routinely with Reasoning Gate. So, I think yeah, when you're not the one playing Reasoning Gate, it's pretty it could be pretty tilting. So I understand the frustration. Um, yeah, like
Bring in the Nemo.
yeah, this is a tilter, and he yeah, this is so, and he like okay, I think we talked about this last time too, but he just dropped his tribe raw. Like what? This can't ever be the move, right? Like there's no reason to
I'll
just
run over
waste
his
this.
hand and see what else he's got because he doesn't really have any other bodies to put on board, but he could have sat back.
I don't think he needs to do this. Though. I guess he wants to deny
Mm.
you a monster, and maybe he doesn't know what you're playing.
He definitely doesn't know what I'm playing because in the past I was playing Warriors whenever I played against him. But even if I'm playing Warriors, my guys are going to get over his tribe.
Nah,
So
okay. Even looking at his hand, I think even more so this is not the move. One, he has this knock, right? So he could have knocked your dude. Second, his hand is bricked and he has no way to get lights and darks in the grave other than pitching for tribe. So, in a way this could enable his dead chaos monsters here. Um, Especially if he ends up drawing like a Thunder Dragon, then he could just pitch one Chaos Sorcerer and then he's cooking. But I don't think it's the right thing to drop this raw so early, but it is what it is. Um, and then also we have a prime example of how early Serpent is pretty nice. You did have other ways to resolve this Monster Gate, but I think this is a pretty good way, and you'll get it back next turn for your other cards. So that's sick. And then you just drew into even more cards that can make use of Serpent, so that's pretty nice. Snatch Steal. I always feel so dirty when my opponent snatch steals this and attacks into Scapegoat because like I feel like snatch stealing at this point in this like game state, it's kind of telling you, and they didn't set any back row or monsters, so it's kind of telling you this is like a desperation um, play, right? Um, Surely there's nothing better that they have to do if they're not setting any monsters or back row. So already it's telling you that his hand is probably just bricked up. Take it back with 1,000 eyes. Now you're chilling. He finally draws. So like he just drew that monster. Otherwise he probably would have said it before. So hit him.
Definitely want to
Yeah,
get that out of the way.
yeah, so
Didn't have.
good.
I mean, snatch is a pretty good thing to get back. So yeah, if it's, I wasn't sure what it was. It could have been a spy. It could have been anything. But hitting him off is pretty spicy.
I mean, like at this point the game should be sealed because he's bricked and that's the card that he just drew. So, um, yeah, it's not looking good for him here. Okay, yeah, there we go. You had the Chaos Monster too for game, so it's fun to see Turbo Brick every once in a while because usually the deck you're playing is the one that bricks, but he opens a much more playable hand this time. There's the Dust Shoot again. Okay, so it's pretty good. You have a lot of monsters.
Even it says in the chat. I wish you could see how cheeks this hand is. Because yeah, that
Oh
was he was
yeah.
stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess sometimes you open up all three Chaos Monsters and no way to enable them, so. But this hand's looking a lot better for him, and he's going first, so it's a pretty good first turn hand. Oh, so he chooses not to Dust Shoot there, which. Okay, that's. Okay, so maybe he's waiting to use it, like I said before, but also, like. Uh. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think given what my hand is, it would have probably been better for him to
Yeah,
use it
well.
early. But you also don't know what I've got at this stage.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, so again, the philosophy is like you can rip it right away and maybe rip the only card that enables the Reasoning Gate player's hand, or you can
I
hold
think
it.
this is actually a pretty good hand for him to see because he's going
Yeah,
to take Enzo or take Zaborg. He also sees that I'm premature, so he knows if he calls something right, I can grab it back. So I
yes,
mean, that's great information for him to have had he popped it earlier.
you're right. And another reason why I don't think Trapdoor Shoot is just like that good against this deck is like usually the hands, like knowing their hand, it doesn't really give you too much information because you're gonna play the cards in your hand, right? Like Reasoning and Monster Gate. Um, so usually having that, it's not like you're setting like defensive traps where it's like helpful to know what the back row is, right? It's always like Scapegoat or Jar of Greed. But you're right. In this case, it definitely would have helped him to know your hand because he's got this judgment, right? Um,
Right, and I also think like knowing that I have a premature is kind of huge. It's going to influence your calls on
right,
reasoning because
right,
like
right.
if you call it right, I still win. So
Yeah, yeah. Or like he might even, I'm not sure he would do this, but like he could even consider just like judgmenting the reasoning if he knows it's your only way to get back into the game, to just
right,
deny you from even hitting it, getting to the graveyard, right? But okay, here he goes again, summoning the tribe, but it's not raw this time because he's got cards to back it up.
right, and I think what ends up happening here was kind of this thought process because yeah, I'm going to pop the goat. It's going to
Yeah,
deny him the two attacks, but
yeah,
then he clears them.
yeah. So he's probably reading your scapegoat, and it's just gonna clear them. And now he's got the double judgment. So he's like his position's looking pretty formidable right here. Like this is, yeah, he's got this unlocked. Okay, there we go. Then so he does hold the dust shoot, which is pretty sick. He knows you're gonna try to, well, you could be monster gating this too, right? Like,
It could be, yeah.
but it gets kind of risky because you were at four right there, right? Like if you're one
I
card
was,
less,
yeah. And he also did it like he chained it to the crane coming in. So like he could I that's why I asked him in the chat. I said, does it resolve before Crane? Because I was wondering if he intended to wait for Crane to draw before they revealed that. I was kind of
wait, what happened? Did you draw?
curious.
Did you draw yet? You didn't draw yet.
I draw no, I haven't drawn yet. I have
Oh,
four cards in hand. and I drew the Chaos Sorcerer for turn, and then as soon as I pop Premature into Crane, he chains Dust Shoot, and
Oh,
I
I
was
see.
confused why he didn't wait for me to see the other card
Oh,
for to use
100%.
Dust Shoot.
100% he
Right,
should,
and
right?
that's why I asked in the chat because I was like, "Did you mean?" And that's me being nice, I guess. But I was
Yeah.
just like, "Did you intend just me draw off the Crane first?" And
Yeah.
he said no. So
I
it
mean,
is what it is.
it is what it is. But
But
you're still right. He could wait till the open game state and then just activate it
I
with.
think it would have been more advantageous for him because then he would have had 5 to choose from
Yeah.
rather than 4.
100%. 100%. Um,
Because then here I draw a card.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, he ends up soloing it, which is cool. He solemns that too. Gets himself down super low.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So now you're on a 2 turn clock. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that he. I mean, that was actually really good um, dust shoot because otherwise he might have judgmented the Jinzo and the Jinzo would hit the grave and you would have the combo, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
actually, that dust shoot was pretty sick. So props to him for holding it. And then you, yeah, I'm not sure if you shuffled. I already forgot. I didn't check if you shuffled, but
Yeah, we mentioned that last time
yeah,
because I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. If I didn't, then that sucks. So,
yeah. Although
it
like,
could have been something I drew that would have helped, but
yeah, I guess you could draw into like pot of greed or graceful, right? But yeah, DB sometimes has that glitch. I think where it doesn't. It says in the logs that it shuffled, but it like didn't really shuffle. It's kind of weird.
I have started shuffling twice now.
Yeah, I do
So
like I spam like I do it like 3 times, bro. Like every single time. Um, okay, so his opening is wait, what the fuck? Did he just discard Moth off of Graceful?
I think so.
That's
Yeah,
that's
I'm
cr-
trying to.
that's
Yeah, it's
crazy
pretty
work.
crazy.
No, that's crazy work. Like, what's his hand? No, that's absolutely crazy work. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, 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 that's absolutely crazy work. I think 100%. Like, you're not siding. Well, I'm not sure how familiar he is with the deck, but you're not siding in Noblemen's, or most people don't side in Noblemen's because it conflicts with Infusion, right? So, 100%. If I'm him, I'm just setting this Moth and probably all of his back row. Um, yeah, that's what I would do anyway. Yeah, and then he plays right into what you want when you're playing as Turbo, which is dropping his Chaos boss monsters incrementally, right? Like, and he got zero value out of it. Um,
He also exiled one or banished one to summon this one. So I knew 2 were out of the way, and he's probably only running 2 sorcerers.
yeah, no,
So
like I
really,
don't.
BLS is the only chaos monster he has left.
Oh yeah, dude. No, no, he's screwed. Okay, so unfortunately, yeah, I don't think he's playing this one very well. Like you said, he only got one BLS as his win con, and his hand was good. Like, no, his hand was good. Like, if he could resolve the spy too, start clearing these tokens more effectively,
Now
and
we're very scared of Spy early,
yeah, yeah, and
so
he had the judgment, so no, I think he was in a very winnable position, especially if he snowballed with the Moth and the Graceful. But um, yeah, you are going to punish him pretty hard, right? This is absolutely disgusting. Oh yeah, so we talked about this as well. You go for the reasoning, but had you just Dimension Fusion this Demock back, it's
yeah.
game.
And
Um,
yeah, I shouldn't have even done the reasoning here.
yeah, yeah. Like I think literally just double attacking with BLS is game on board. Because now I think it takes a little bit. Okay, and then I'm not sure what happened here. Some misclicking or
Yeah, that
something.
was me clicking. I remember saying last time that when we did this, I was
Yeah,
like super excited and kind of confused here, and so whatever I did with putting something on top of the deck was a misclick.
yeah,
But yeah, I won anyway, but I had the win had I just Dimension Fusion with DMOC, and that would have been it.
yeah, for sure. I totally get the feeling like when you have the nuts, it's like hard to kind of calm yourself down. But
Yeah, I was definitely really excited there because I was like, oh man, I'm getting BLS. I got Jinzo. Like, he can't do anything. This feels great. But this is where I've been working on trying to be a little bit more calm,
yeah,
especially when I'm playing online and because, clicking the wrong thing or even making a really rash decision because it seems cool not the best. Here, should have just played Dimension Fusion, played what was in my hand, and that would have been it.
Or even sometimes when you just like drop the chaos monsters, sometimes you'll put it in attack when you mean to put it in defense because you're going to use the effect anyway, right? Things like, or sometimes you just drop it in defense because you think you're going to use this effect and then like they don't activate torrential or something and then you want to attack with it. So yeah, just like small things like that. But this he had the nuts, bro. Like especially if he dust shooted you to see your hand and then he would know if card destruction was good or bad to use against you. Um, yeah. Anyway, learning experience for everyone.
This is the same guy 2 matches in a row because the way this worked was like I beat this guy, he went to the losers bracket, he then won the losers bracket, and then played me again in the finals.
Gotcha, dude. You're opening the nuts this whole tournament.
Yeah, no, I think a big part of the win here was due to just how lucky my hands were, to be honest.
So this is another situation that I've talked about in my videos and we were discussing last time. So you have the reasoning and the pot of greed, and you have a choice between if you should reasoning first or pot of greed first. Do you remember if in this moment you thought about that decision point, or you just ripped the pot just because you had pot?
I think I just ripped the pot because I was like, well, I want to do pot before Graceful, and then it'll let me know I'll have more discard options with Graceful. But you know, so I probably was thinking more about the pot and the Graceful related to one another rather than the pot and the reasoning here.
Yeah, but this actually puts you in a really nice position as well because you drew into a crane. So, I mean, there's one less. Well, yeah. Sorry. This is what we were talking about last time. So, by flashing the pot and then the graceful, after you activate those two and then you activate reasoning, like you're literally forcing them to call eight, right? Because
Right, yeah, because I'm throwing the Crane into the graveyard so he gets the knowledge. He calls eight, and then I immediately pop Crane off the top and get another +1.
yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
yeah. You just
helpful. And yeah,
yeah.
I'm trying to give him because here my thinking with Graceful is if I discard this, I didn't pop reasoning. Kind of like you mentioned in your video and what happened, he's gonna hit eight because A, he sees 2 power spells, he sees pot, he sees Graceful, he also sees four. So he knows that eight is just as likely as four
Right.
call eight. And
Right.
it
Right.
ended
Right.
up working out in my favor here.
Right. You literally like you forced him to in every possible angle, like you said. Like it's got the same. He's never gonna call four because you flashed him to four, so it's the same odds as long as you're not running three cranes, and you got the power spells in the graveyard. So he's literally forced to do it. And I saw you also pitch the Chaos Sork, but you also have this reincarnation in your hand, right? So yeah, that's a good little lesson for people watching about how you can manipulate your opponent into calling the level that you want them to. Sometimes you'll use reasoning just to get some, spells in the grave. Sometimes you'll use it like a foolish burial to get lights and darks in the grave, etc., etc. But I think it's really important. Like I said it last time we talked, but the times that I lose is when I'm whiffing on these reasonings and my opponent is calling the correct and I'm just going neg. So any small optimizations you can do to try to influence your chances of, successfully resolving reasoning, um, it could really make the difference in the long run. So,
And here I was actually really set up too, like you said, with the reincarnation in hand, I can pull the even if he calls eight and it ends up being DMOC, I can pull the chaos monster back out, ban it, or, yeah, get rid of the crane and the DMOC, and then I bet Dimension Fusion hand and bring DMOC back.
yeah.
So like it was a really good setup to hit reasoning there.
Yeah, yeah, for
There are a
sure.
lot of things in my favor right there.
Yeah, and this is just another good talking point, I guess. Metamorphosis, like obviously Thousand Eyes, right? But then in this deck, it's basically just an extender or an enabler. It gets Demock off the field so that you can loop it with Dimension Fusion. But in this situation, like you're very likely to hit a Dark Monster here, right? Because you still got Demock, Jinzo, and Fusilier in the deck. You might hit Zaborg or Serpent, but you have this double Metamorphosis. So even now, you could, Metamorphosis into Thousand Eyes or a Dark Monster, and then Metamorphosis that monster to another monster, so that you'll have the Light and the Dark in the Grave for the Chaos Sork. So like, Metamorphosis just like has so much utility in this deck, which is why I like to run at least one. I like to run two for this like exact kind of situation. Um, but yeah, your hand is just so good right now. Oh my god! And then you hit the.
And this is where I
Oh my
actually,
god! Yeah.
and then I metamorph into I think King Dragoon here because I see his set and I'm not really sure what that is.
Yeah,
So I'm like, if I attack into a battle trap, it's King Dragoon's a safer bet.
for sure. You're just kind of like testing the waters and seeing what the back row is, and then maybe later you'll pop off, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing here. So I'm just trying to see what he's got set. Is that a threat? Now he gets rid of my Jar of Greed, but
Yeah.
I'm in a really good spot here,
Yeah,
so I'm not too
you're
bad about
basically
it.
saying like, hey, if you have torrential or mirror force, I'm gonna know right now on the spot, right, by summoning King Dragoon, because there's no way they're not activating torrential and mirror force. Well, probably not. If it's torrential, maybe they hold it and try to get more value out of it. You summon another monster, but generally when I make King Dragoon, like I'm not sure how many other times you've made this guy, but I'm pretty afraid to summon another monster alongside of this, especially if they don't have any monsters and they have a back row, right? Like, do you have any
Mhm.
thoughts about that?
No, you definitely. I mean, mirror forces they're out, and their torrentials they're out, and I think that might have been because I had no idea what he had set there, so that might have been some of the logic here. Because I could have gone with my reincarnation, just gone for BLS there,
Yeah,
um, but it was definitely I really don't know what you have face down moment,
yeah,
and that ended up showing me what he had. Um, so it ended up making it okay. I can safely BLS as long as it's clear. Um, but yeah, I was not sure what he was setting. It was so early in the game. I mean, I know I see a lot of players set their torrentials and things early, so that's kind of what I was scared of.
yeah. I think another interesting thing to highlight is how you're taking this incremental approach, right? Like we said, you could have just dropped more stuff, which it's not safe because they have a
Because I have
back
the
row.
Dimension Fusion, I have the BLS. I mean,
Yeah,
it could have been a total blowout turn, but then with one face down, I don't know what it is. If it is a Mirror Force, it really sets me back on what could otherwise be a win.
yeah, and
Um,
2400 is, you're like a third of the way there right off the bat, so you tried to snatch steal your own guy. That's
yeah,
funny.
like I can't do that. I can't target him. So here I'm just going to go for the BLS.
Yeah, you're going for the. This is interesting as well. Yeah, it's fair. You want to get the +1 off the crane. It's pretty nice. Yep. Oh, there it is. I
Yeah,
forgot what his
he's
back row
tough.
was, but it obviously wasn't good. Another interesting thing there, though. You vortexed right away, right? But you're gonna go for the attacks anyway, right? So either way, if he has Mirror Force, you're playing into Mirror Force, right? Um,
Yeah,
so like you could have just
I
double
mean,
attack with the BLS and hold the Lightning Vortex, right?
I totally could have done that. Yeah.
Probably, probably safer play because you're attacking anyway, so you lose the Mirror Force in either case. It's just that, yeah. In one example, you
Yeah, I
might.
saw it was Upstart, and I'm like, here with him being as low as he was, Upstart, I can throw that away. So that was kind of what my logic was, but I don't really think it was necessary to your point, because then, like, yeah, if Mirror Forces, Upstart helps me draw my next play rather than just sitting there.
Right.
Um,
I mean, but
so
there could have been a situation. I'm not sure if he would side this in, but just for example, if the back row was a Sakuretsu, right? Then he's gonna Sakuretsu your BLS when you attack it, and then
right,
you clear the Dragoon with the Fusilier, and then you get to hold your Vortex, right? But
yeah. So Vortex really wasn't necessary there, but all's well that ends well, I suppose. Now this is where he
for sure.
starts going into Last Warriors. This guy gets so many Last Warriors against
Oh
me.
yeah, yeah. Um, he sets a little back row to pretend like he has something to protect it. I mean, yeah. Oh, okay. It's actually a really good. Okay, this is a nice draw, but you're in a pretty good. He's in a pretty good spot with this last warrior, to be honest.
Yeah,
Oh, he's cooking you with this. Ooh, oh, and the cold wave. Oh my god, that's a game, right?
yeah. I can do nothing here.
Or like you can't even set this, right? Because he activated cold wave.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't even done that.
yeah.
Look at that.
So last warrior beatdown sometimes it just gets you there. Okay. Yep. activate the scapegoat first before he Last Warriors. Smart move. So he still goes into Last Warrior here, which is interesting. Like you have four tokens, which is like four turns basically, right? Like four draws. So I don't know. What do you think about this Last Warrior? I mean, the other option is Gatling Dragon to start clearing some cards,
You
but
could Gatling Dragon's probably a good play there. Um, yeah, I don't really. Last Warrior stops me from immediately going into Monster Gate with my tokens, but yeah, I think he was already going on that line of thought and just locked in, even though I just popped Scapegoat and didn't. I don't think he was thinking very much about his other choices there.
yeah, just another example of like having your blinders up and just going for a play without considering your options, maybe. But I just realized, this is obvious, but Last Warrior is Warrior. I forgot about that. So actually, Kinetic Soldier is sick against
Yeah,
this.
that's why I brought him in the side
Yeah.
because I was like, if he's already out there, he could, in this case he wasn't, but I was like, that's a potential out. If I can get him out, if he's like set already before Last Warrior comes out, or I could set him all day and then he attacks into it,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that damage.
It
So,
just walls him out too.
um,
Um,
yeah,
that's actually that's sick. You would have done like 1450 damage if he tacks into this, which is kind of a lot in this state. Oh, he puts it back. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he puts it back. Yeah,
Oh, and then he has the out for the snatch steal. That
he has the
sucks.
stuff.
Yeah, okay. He had the nuts right there. Oh, but then you top deck soccer. Love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. Yeah, you went for the balls to the walls play and attacking into the I like it.
Yeah, I just was going for it there because he
Yeah.
had no back row, so I was like, "What's the worst that could happen here?"
Yeah, no, I love that. I like that a lot actually.
And he was so low after his Stein that I was just like,
Oh, and he had the brain control. Yeah.
worst case he flips a Night Assailant and then I'm back a turn,
Yeah.
but
No, I
might
think
as
it's
well
the
just go
move,
for
like
it.
especially because like you don't want him to snatch steal this next turn in case you don't go for the game. And he had the double brain con, so
No,
like
yeah, that would have been disgusting if it had gone one more turn.
he, uh, oh, I guess he wouldn't be in brain con range because you'd be doing 24. But
It's true.
either way though, like if he had it and he clapped back, that would have felt really bad. Okay.
And then I play him again here in the finals, and this I remember there being some shenanigans here.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
We'll
Well,
we get up here. Yeah, it's
we'll address it when we get there. Okay, maybe I'm just eating my words here because every dust shoot that has been used has kind of done work. So,
yeah, and it seems like I've played games since this one on Dueling Book Ladder and stuff where it's like they always do it when Jimzo's in my hand,
yeah, what the fuck?
and it's like it would feel kind of good to have Jinzo and then like pitch it and then premature it here. That would be kind of cool,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no. They seem to always take it from me right when it would be the most clutch.
Yeah, so maybe I'm gonna eat my words and say like dust shoot actually does work because it's done work every single time they've used it. But I have, yeah, a non-trivial amount of times they have whiffed when they've used it against me. But you
Right.
have,
Here, I think does shoot against me when I have a premature or a call is like super super good information for them too though because
yeah,
like then I reasoning and then if he calls it correctly he knows it's not that big a deal for me.
uh-huh.
But he calls four here, which is I guess he's thinking I got two cranes. So, but then he even acknowledges that the snake is really really interesting here to come out.
Yeah, so here is a classic example of, rip reasoning. He calls four, which I wish I could see your deck. It'd be interesting if four was like the next card or something. But if he called four, I mean, it wouldn't have been the end of the world since your hand is good, even if he calls, the thing right. But we get this serpent for free, right? And now you can metamorphosis it. I'm already looking at your hand though, and let me just. I bet you metamorphosis right here. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I,
Alternatively,
I don't want his rat. That's what I'm scared of because then he's
right,
getting
right,
Lily or something.
right, right, right. Alternatively, I mean, totally valid play. Um, you might have had game though. I gotta do the math. Alternatively, you lightning vortex, pitch this Democ, pre-mat the
Pitch Demok,
pre-mat the
pre-mat
Demok
Demok.
back,
Yep.
get Demok, get Dimension Fusion, and then Metamorphosis the Demok into Gatling. So that's 28 plus 26, which is 54. Um, where are we at? Metamorphosis into Gatling. Yeah, you already have
So
Dimension Fusion
Gatling
back,
and
right?
yep.
Like you already get this. You already get this Dimension Fusion back off of the first Demok drop, right?
Right.
And then
So
Metamorphosis,
then
get this off the
Metamorphosis
field,
was in my hand. Right.
right? And then
But we
you
would I didn't have two Metamorphoses. So what I would do is I would pitch Demok to Lightning Vortex, premature, get Demok back,
get
grab
Dimension Fusion.
Fusion, Metamorphosis, get Gatling Dragon, Dimension Fusion, get Demok back. So then I have Gatling Dragon and Demok, but then all I have is Giant Trunade and whatever I grab off of Demok here.
Oh no, but I like taking that risk. So I'm
Yeah, because
ballsy.
then I can get Reasoning and rip it again and see what I get, and it could be
Nah,
game
nah, nah, nah,
over.
nah. Oh yeah. So that's actually definitely the move because you have this giant Trunade plus pre-mat, right? So you can bounce the pre-mat
Uh-huh.
back.
Yep. And
So
then I rip, even if he calls it right, I can get pre-mat back, drop it again, get
right.
whatever I get from Reasoning, and then odds are I kill him there with what's already on the board.
Yeah, so in that case, your end board is Demok plus Gatling plus at least 1600 damage, right? Because that's what's left in the deck. So that's
Yeah.
what 28 plus 26, 54 plus 16 is 7k. So you'd be 1000 short, but actually the play that I would probably do because I'm just like, well, that's a perfectly good play. But another ballsy play you could have done is what we were saying before. Pre-mat the Demok back. Maybe you just giant Trinade right there, just get the pre-mat back to your hand just to save it for later. Metamorphosis into Gatling. Dimension Fusion the Demok back. Get Dimension Fusion back again. And then activate Gatling's effect. Try to pop two. You know, either you pop one or you pop two or you pop three, right? Which maybe is a reason enough to not do it. But you could have gotten cheeky and you pop your Demok and the Gatling, and then you can Dimension Fusion the Demok pack again? Question mark. How much life was that? 6,000? No, what am I
Yeah,
talking
that
about?
would have
No, what am I talking
that would
about?
be.
What am I talking about? That is not the move. For some reason, I thought it was gonna.
I think the first scenario is better because then you still actually still have Serpent on board also. So like if you were to get Jinzo, you're pretty close to 8,000. I mean, we said what you were about 1,000 off with 1,600. So if you have 300
Oh, true,
plus the difference, that could be game right there if you got 24.
true. It's kind of hard to play this out without being able to manipulate these cards.
It is, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's. I think the first route was better rather than
Yeah, I don't know why I thought you would end up
another
with like
tier.
two Gatling Dragons on the board, but you only have this one
No,
Metamorphosis, so you
you only
can't do
have
it.
one Metamorphosis,
Yeah,
so
yeah, gotcha. Okay, but yeah, that would have been a pretty nasty
that would
play.
have been pretty bonkers. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would have been much better than what ended up happening.
Yeah, but you're still cooking
Because I mean,
here.
yeah,
Oh, we talked about this. You forgot to add back your Serpent, right?
yeah, I forgot to add the Serpent back, and that would have been nice to have. And I really don't know if Goats was the
Oh
play
yeah, we talked about this
here.
too. Like you definitely should add back Dimension Fusion, right? So you can loop this
Yeah,
Demok.
absolutely. Yep, that would have been a much better play than grabbing goats. But I guess I was thinking I've got Monster Gate and Demok, and if I get a goat and then I have Demok and something else, that's cool. But I wasn't thinking about getting Dimension Fusion. But then again, I'm also at 3,400. Do I want to put myself at 14?
That's true.
Um,
That's true.
so that was another thing going through my head, I believe. But I think right here I was just like, goats protects my life, and I might get something cool off of it
He
with
al-
the Demok out there.
he already snatch stole you too, so you're not afraid about that. But I think yeah, for sure. I'm sure like as you're playing this deck more, you're already getting it. But like um I think a lot of newer players they don't see the kill lines with the Demok loops. Like the Demok looping is what
Right.
makes this deck
No.
so broken. Um, and like a lot of people when they take out Metamorphosis, they don't realize they're like removing that looping option from them. So
No, having Gatling Dragon and DMOC on the field at the same time is a very real thing.
yeah, it's so good because like even if they do snatch steal your Gatling Dragon, like you end up with them both on the board, and you add back the Dim Fusion with your DMOC, right? So like even if they out it, you're gonna get it back again. So like finding ways to extract maximum value out of the DMOC and looping it is definitely the way to steal games out of nowhere. I have had multiple games where I end up with like double Gatling and DMOC and just blow them out. Because actually, double Gatling DMOC is 8,000 exactly, right? 26, 26, 28. So, okay. And then all of a sudden this game is way too close for comfort. Like,
Yeah, this
yeah.
is not. This doesn't feel great.
Finally remember add back the Serpent. Always got to remember add that back.
Yeah,
Hits you with the Nobleman, which he is this game one? This is game one. Sorry, we've been talking
this
so
is
much.
game one. Yeah, it has a really nice rip
That's a
there.
crazy rip. That's just such a crazy rip. I would be salty as fuck if I was playing against you and this happened to me. Oh, that's a pretty nice. Oh, I see.
And I'm just protecting every time he
Y-
names it correctly there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And
So,
that's it. Yeah,
yeah.
that was a really lucky turn of events there for something that I could have been laying hurt on like really early and didn't see it.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'd be so salty if I was that guy because like he climbed back from a really tough spot and then you just sacked him with the brain control. Which like
Yeah,
okay,
no, that was.
but that's a good example of like yo, brain control is limited in Edison format. I'm not sure if you play Edison. Do you play Edison?
I don't know.
Got it. It's limited in Edison format for a reason. I mean, there's better ways to convert it in that format because you got synchros, but it's a win con by itself. So, like as we just saw, and it's gonna help you here as well if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is
oh,
where we
oh yeah.
he lets me do this here, and that shouldn't happen. The next game he catches it because I think I end up losing this anyway. But you cannot do that.
Right, right. You can even activate reasoning or monster gate when this is on the field, obviously. But we talked about this. Like you had him down anyway, right? You just attack with him, put him at
Yeah, he wins
650.
this game regardless. I think he
He wins
immediately
this
mirror
game.
forces me. Yeah, exactly. So it's not like a super game, but it gets the warrior off the field, which could have made the game go a different direction
Wait. He
regardless.
wins
So
this one? No.
I think he does win this one, if I recall correctly.
Oh. Oh wait. Hold on. I gotta double check what happened. Okay, so I think this is another optimization, which I don't agree with how you did it. You brain control this, and you always just attack with this. There's no reason to not
Yeah,
attack
no,
with
I
this, right?
gotta just attack him there. Yep.
Yeah, like if he wastes Mirror Force on that, then I mean you go one for two, right? So that's typically how you do it. Like when you brain control against warriors and you take their like Blade Knight or whatever, like you always just try to attack with it, and unless you really need to normal summon like a Jinzo or something, but you want them to waste their resources on it, right? There's no reason to preemptively use your meta there, um, because in that spot he either would have Mirror Forced it or not, and if he doesn't, then main phase two you just tribute for Vampire Lord and you're chilling. So, and then he sneaks this one because he cold waves you, and then you can't set next turn either. Which wait, he just cold wave you. I don't think he can do this, right?
Did he do Cold Wave?
I think he just did it last turn. Yeah,
There were some. I lose this one, but yeah, there were definitely some things I did here that should not have been the way they were.
yeah. I think most people aren't familiar with like playing with cold wave, so I get it. But like it's for that turn and the next turn. People forget that. But
Yeah. So yeah, that was big my bad on that one, but he pulled it off anyway.
yeah, cold wave is so bro. It's like against this deck. I think cold wave's at three in Go format too, right? So it's like if you have that on your side, that card's so good against the reasoning gate. Okay, so
Yeah,
oh, okay, he fixes
this
it.
time he's like, you can't do that, and I'm
Yeah, that's
like,
fair.
okay, but you can tribute summon, and then there I Jinzo and
Oh
I
man. Yeah.
using a new Vampire Lord, and he's at 3,000, so that's it.
Oh, there we go.
But yeah, I learned some lessons on that game. It was a little bit sloppy, but the guy was really cool, and I definitely won't be making the same mistakes again. So I mean, you gotta live and learn on stuff like that. And I'm glad the opponent was as graceful as he was about it, because he could have really been like, dude.
That's true, dude. This is the finals. He could have sharked your ass,
Right. He could have
right?
just been like, well, it wouldn't have been sharking because I was
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
up.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I would have just been like, yep, you're
Oh
right.
no, for
I inadvertently cheated there.
you're right. Like the second time you
Got
did it,
scared.
the second time you
Yeah.
did it, he could have called judge and like got you a game loss for that
No,
easy, right?
and he could have,
Yeah.
and I would have been completely fine with that because I fucked up, but it didn't happen. So he was being really chill dude about everything. So big ups to Nosferatu here.
Big ups to this guy. Shout out to him. So I think this even with all the wonkiness, like I think this match demonstrated a couple of awesome things. Like brain control absolutely put in work this match, right? I think you used multiple. Um, Having the Vampire Lord on deck and having the level 5 got you a free 2000 body off of reasoning, right? Um, he made Last Warrior multiple times, and it's a little bit of double edged sword because he got himself into kill range, which, since you're bringing in the brain controls, like it's even better for this, right? Because they're already doing the work for you. Um, why did he set this? Oh, you true nated. Okay, okay. So both times that he made Last Warrior, he did make it with a card to back it up, so that is pretty good. Um, Yeah, I don't like to make Last Warrior without a way to protect it. So he did both times. You just had the True Nade, which is dirty. But anyway, yeah, that was that was awesome, dude. Congrats on the win in this tournament. I feel like there was a lot of goodness here, a lot of learning opportunities, um, a lot of small things like um, not just immediately banishing or not just immediately going for the pot of greed off of DMOC, sequencing things a little bit better, looking for opportunities to abuse the fuck out of DMOC and loop it, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think um, especially when you have a big graveyard and you have lots of choices, one of the bigger learning opportunities with this deck is definitely like weighing out your options and I mean, you don't want to sit there forever and make your opponent wait, but you also got to like not just rip the first thing that comes to mind either, because there's gonna be definitely cards that could sway the game a different direction. I was playing against, I think it was AJT BLS or something, one of a really good player on that I
Yeah.
had no business playing against on the format library ladder, and I don't even remember what I got out of the graveyard, but after the game, we were both watching the replay, and he was like, I think Scapegoat would have been the pick there, because then even if I dropped BLS, you would have been able to have a couple turns to kind of figure out a response. And I was like, I think you're right, because there weren't many other good options there. And he did end up ripping the BLS like 2 turns after that and killing me with it. So it was like, given the information from the future,
Yeah.
absolutely would have been a great play, but in the moment, it's kind of like, do I want to try to, be more aggressive here or try to add more staying power? So I think just weighing your options and thinking about like what could they possibly pull to get themselves out of the situation,
Yeah.
is what I'm picking. Taking those things into consideration, or am I just trying to play solitaire here? Definitely makes for a better DMOC play.
100%. 100%. That in the situations where it does boil down to a single decision, that is often the scenario where it does boil down that way. Um, and just like highlighting the pot of greed example again, like I'm not sure what spell card you ended up taking there. It doesn't really matter for this discussion, but like if you're in a spot like that, it could be just so tempting to just add back the pot or the graceful when you could have added back the scapegoat, and you really just got to ask yourself like, why are you doing that? What are you trying to draw into specifically that's making you do that versus something that you know is guaranteed to be having some value or mitigating something that your opponent might do, um, versus two random cards, right? Because a lot of
Right.
times when I do grab it, you just draw like double reasoning, but like you have no more monsters left in the deck anyway, right? Or you draw like double monster gate or something. So yeah,
It was a situation where, given the knowledge of like kind of looking back at that particular replay, had I just taken Dimension Fusion and ripped it again, I would have killed him.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But I didn't get back row that I was scared of, and I was playing scared, but not picking any of the right choices because I was playing so scared and not making rational decisions. So I just think this deck, and I'm just kind of in general comment about the deck, like it forces so many pivotal decision points. It also forces a lot of really weird decisions with metamorphosis and the different variables that create odd creatures on the field that have odd abilities you don't always see. Um, I think it's just, I think I might have said this in the last video too, but like as kind of a newer player, especially a newer player playing this deck, but even just kind of green to goat in general, being able to see those situations and kind of review your replays and think through what your options could have been, it makes you a stronger player. And I feel like this deck really forces a lot of those scenarios where there's really obvious, you know, the way that this turn was pivotal. How could this have gone? And I don't think, like when I was playing Warriors, I didn't see as many of those obvious examples looking back.
Hmm.
So for me as a player, I think this is a good deck for me to learn from, and I hope other people feel the same way.
For sure. I will say that obviously, if you want to get better, you have to watch your replays and kind of evaluate what you could have done differently. I'll say the annoying thing about replays for Reasoning Gate in particular is like you can't see the deck, which is like
Right.
the deck and the order of the cards in the deck when when you lose or you make an improper decision. That's the important thing to actually help you evaluate if you made the right decision or not, right? So that's the only limitation here. I will give a tip for people playing this deck, especially if you have this built in paper. Maybe like the thing I like about this deck is that you can effectively train or practice by solitaring with yourself with this deck. More so than other decks, right? Like more so than Chaos Turbo or Warriors, where they are more turn by turn interactive with your opponent and contingent on you actually having playing someone that you're playing against. This deck, on the other hand, you can practice it and get better at it literally by yourself. So I would implore you, when you're making decisions like this, like if your decision is between Pot of Greed and something else in the deck, just check like what you would have drawn if you guard Pot of Greed instead, right? And just like learn from that. Or similarly, when you active like if you went for Pot of Greed instead of Reasoning, just pretend that you added back Reasoning and see what would have happened if you had grabbed the Reasoning and see like the order of the monsters left in your deck, um, for reasoning purposes, right? So I'd say that could like kind of fast track your training with this deck, and that's something that like that doesn't really benefit you that much when you're playing other decks, right? Knowing the order of cards in your deck and what's left in it is just like not as relevant for other decks, right? So
The only thing that I can think of to bring up while we're recording here is I
yeah,
think last time towards the end we
oh
were
yeah, yeah,
talking about Upstart Goblin as a flex spot.
yes, 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 yes,
So, like, you did your long video about the sideboard, and I agree. I really like that video. I thought it was super useful. I think sideboard strategy is something that a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's kind of up to and it is like even you said in your video, like sideboard is super individual. It might be meta specific based on kind of what's being played at the store or whatever your environment you're in. But I feel like not enough players kind of go into their sideboard rationale. And for me, like, yeah, taking out the combo against a aggressive deck to focus more on things like brain control and vampire lord and your battle traps, like obviously, but like in those situations especially, I was finding I wanted to squeeze in like maybe like as he's playing the Stein, maybe I want to squeeze in compulsory, and I don't normally squeeze that in with everything I'm already siding out.
yep, yep,
I was finding myself, I'd rather, like, especially if I'm going first, I was taking an upstart and like putting a jog back in just because I want to up my chances of having that god scapegoat jog combo turn one. Um, and also in those situations, like, I was thinking a lot about, and I might be thinking too much about it because, like, in the early game, it doesn't seem to matter as much. But I was like, if he's playing Stein, especially here, I don't want to give him that extra 1,000 because that could shut off a kill shot if I'm working
mm-hmm,
with limited resources.
mm-hmm,
Um, I think I thought a little bit too much about the plus 1,000, but I definitely was thinking like, if I want that turn one jog scapegoat with maximum chances, let me take an upstart out for kind of a flex spot rather than using my jogs as that flex spot.
No, you're, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I 100% agree with you. I totally forgot to even mention in that video that Upstart is totally a valid card that you can take out. You make a lot of good points, especially when you're playing against aggro and you're taking out the combo. You're not doing as much damage or going for the kill shot as much, so that 1,000 does become a lot more relevant in that situation. I think I mentioned against Turbo, I like to go pretty fast, so I like to keep the upstarts in. And the other thing that you and I were discussing is that, like, this kind of goes without saying, or is worth saying, but like a lot of the Konami sanctioned events, like Ultimate Time Wizard, whatever, they use like sudden death rulings. So there's like no 0, 1, 2, 3. It's just like whoever has the most life at the end of the turn just wins on the spot, right? So cards that make your opponent gain life or make you lose life, like Brain Control, Upstart, Premature Burial, those cards need to come out if you know that you're going to go into time in game 3, right? So that's something to consider. Another reason why Mystic Walk in those types of events is even better because it could just be an auto win button. But yeah, thank you for highlighting that. Like Upstart is definitely a card you can take out, and even more so in when you're taking out the combo. Um, yeah, and but to your point, like it kind of depends if you're going first or second, right? Like if you're going
Yeah,
first,
it's also like I also kind of think about like how valuable Jinzo is in that matchup because it's like, yeah, if you want to see the jogs early, but if you've got Jinzo out there and you're drawing those, there it's kind of a feel bad. So I don't know. That's something I've been kind of thinking about too. Is it's like if I'm going first, I definitely want the Jars of Greed because
yeah,
they have a better chance of helping me out. But if I'm going second, they have a better chance of conflicting with Jinzo. So maybe the upstarts are better to leave in going second,
yeah,
or just kind of playing around with that.
yeah.
See how it feels.
One more thought on Jar of Greed. So it actually took me a long, long time to play three Jar of Greed, and even Jar of Greed at all. Like I used to not play this card. Um, I feel that when you play three, I often end up drawing into Jar of Greed off of Jar of Greed. I'm not sure if you've experienced that yet. Have you experienced that?
I've experienced it a little bit, yeah.
And then when you do that, you're basically time sealing yourself, dude. Like literally, right?
Mhm.
Like you activate time sealing yourself. So I like two because when I have two, I hardly ever draw to Jar of Greed off Jar of Greed. But when I have three, I start to notice it. I haven't done the math on that, but I notice it. It's like a tangible difference, right? So that's another thing to consider. What I'm saying is that like if you are going up against a matchup where they're bringing in side deck cards and essentially time sealing yourself is going to be a huge detriment, you might that might be another reason to side out, one or multiple Jar of Greeds, right? I'm thinking about situations where they're bringing in King Tiger and my scapegoats are dead, so the early game is like even more important, right? And if I basically time seal myself for 1 or 2 turns in a row and they have King Tiger and another beater, you could just like instant lose. That's a situation where getting the draw immediately off of upstart might be, more valuable.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Thug Bard. I hope that people watching this were able to learn a thing or two, and I would, of course, love to have you back on the channel after you've played the deck more, after you have, some different perspectives on the deck, card choices, side deck choices. Would love to have you back, or even if we just want to do more replay analysis, I think that'd be fun as well, or maybe like live gameplay. So, thanks for being on the channel. Appreciate it. You're welcome
Yeah,
back
thanks for
anytime.
having me. I've gotten a lot of value out of your content for both, this deck and just kind of Goat in general. It's like I said a few times now, I'm sure. I just think this is a really fun deck for a lot of reasons, and I think for kind of a newer player, it forces you to learn kind of quick and forces some odd situations that other decks don't necessarily give you the chance to see. So I just really appreciate all your insight, and hopefully this is helpful to others,
True.
as you've been helpful to me.
And if you're losing against this deck, maybe you should play it and see how it functions and get inside the head of reasoning game players so you're better equipped to deal with it when you play it in person, right? So, and that
Absolutely.
goes for any deck, right? But especially this one. All right. Thanks a lot and see you guys next time.